All right. Hello, this is just a quick message. I had like a vision or a dream. Let's see. And I wrote it down. I wrote it down for us. This is a separate message about, because I had done 2 sessions with Dr. Cheryl about the gift of prophecy and this whole packet. I have this whole packet of the Greek word that I had gone over. And so for some people, Anna was a prophetess, and so she sets a precedent. When there's something, always when we face something in life, if we have questions about it, there's a precedent for it within the scriptures. And so it's important to find that, not to try to prove your point and be in your egotism, but to understand. Even people will use verses, I've had a lot of this in my life, to try to shut you down and put you down. Hold on. And so, yeah, we were looking at that. I gotta just be brief. That's the Greek word. Anyway, and so, like, this is just weird for me to do. Like, I never really did this before, but I was just getting the sense that okay, so there's a time in the Old Testament when the people that were supposed to be leading God's people and being the good shepherds, even when Jesus came, he said they are like sheep needing a good shepherd, and I am the good shepherd. And so Christ offers that to us. And in Mere Christianity, it says he's making us into little Christs. We are little Christs all over the world. And so this makes sense within that context, is that he's raising up. What he did was he raised up disciples. Like, the disciples were, some of them were disciples of John the Baptist, but they were fishermen and not educated like other people. Luke was educated, but he was the writer of the Gospel of Luke. But anyway, they think Luke was one of the 70 disciples. But all this to say is that I just got this instruction that some people are going to be raised up and replace other people that weren't doing their job well. And it's when those who were put in those positions before are not following God, then he will raise up others. That there's a precedent for that in the Old Testament. And there's gifts of the Spirit that are given to people. And it's just like an awakening of gifts. And so some of you have been really rejected, even in churches and other places. And I just was getting the sense that it's like, so there's this prophet Balaam who sold out Israel because this one king wanted him to prophesy curses over them or to speak curses over them. And he's like, I can't touch God's anointed. Like, I can't speak curses over them. And he kept trying. And then what I heard is that Balak kept giving him money or whatever. And he finally said, hey, if you get them to compromise in their lives, if you bring certain women that sell themselves, I'll just use that word, into their temples and make it part of their worship, then they will they'll fall out of the covenant. They'll open doors for themselves to be cursed themselves. They'll bring curses upon themselves. And so this is an old tactic that the enemy has used, but this king didn't know about it, but this prophet knew about it. So the prophet, who was supposed to be a prophet of God, told this king, after he got a lot of money, how to compromise the people. And so a lot of people got compromised that were under the Abrahamic covenant before that. And so Jesus would talk about that, you're meant to be, or I can't remember the passage. There's one in the Old Testament, it's too, like Ezekiel maybe or something, but it's saying that you're meant to be good shepherds over all these people, but instead you sold out for money. And so when it gets brought up that people have been, then all of the people that have been rejected, it's like, so what happened was, I was going to bring up Balaam's donkey. Is Balaam's donkey could see the angel of death blocking him from going to meet with this king and to look over the people of Israel and all this stuff to happen. And Balaam's donkey stopped and like laid out on the ground, and Balaam couldn't go. And God gave the donkey, Balaam's donkey, the ability to speak. And he said, have I ever not, you've known me since my youth, since I was little. Have I ever not gone where you told me to go? And he's like, no. And then he's like, there's an angel of death, or I don't know how he said it, but he's like, I had to stop. And I don't remember what all the donkey said, but the it's weird when a donkey's talking, right? But the guy, the Balaam, still couldn't get, even though he's a prophet of God, even though he's not surprised that the donkey's talking to him, but he said, if I had a sword, I'd cut off your head right now. I'm so mad at you for blocking his path, because he was so set on getting the money from these other people. All right, so I'm just called to do a short little message on this. Oh, thank God. I'm like, it can be 5 minutes or less, so I'm just going to wrap this up soon. But basically what God was saying in my heart is like, some people, you're like this. You saw the warning, you saw the angel of death, and finally the angel spoke to Balaam and said, you would have been killed if you would have been brought down this path. I had to stop you. And so he was stopped and directed a different way. You can read the story yourself, look it up. But nevertheless, some of us are like that, and we get rejected and persecuted and overlooked and misunderstood and misinterpreted and all these things, because God gives some of us the sight to see that we're like Balaam's donkey. But understand that God protected him by Balaam not having, and he's like, if I had my sword, I'd cut off your head, to the donkey. And so we're meant to be as shrewd as serpents, innocent as doves. And so some of us are like that. And also Anna, some of us are like Anna, who back in that time, they made room for her. She was a prophetess, and there's prophets and prophetesses. St. Paul said, I wish all would prophesy. And so we're meant to speak the things that God is showing us, teaching us how to discern and when to say something, when not to say something. It's not easy. But so some of you are that as well, and I just want to encourage you in your calling, and like just know that you're not alone. And I know this sounds weird, but that's just what was on my heart. I was shown those two passages, the Anna passages in the beginning of Luke, when she, Luke 2:36, it says Anna came forward to prophesy, and she prophesied over Jesus and said of things to come. All right, I wish you so much love.